First of all, before I start, I just want to say thank you to Karen and the whole team. I know there's a big organizing committee for events like this. Unfortunately, I don't know all your names, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and speak. I was telling Karen before, I don't normally do this sort of thing, mostly because time doesn't really permit it anymore. But Karen, when she first called me, I thought, oh, why is Karen calling me? And she said, Ivan, I'd like you to speak at a conference. And my initial thought was like, who asked her to ask me? And second of all, I was like, how do I tell her no? But really quickly, I think when Karen began to tell me about what she wanted to base this conference on, about the future of work, and that it was about international students, I couldn't say no. It's something that's very close to my heart. So again, I really want to thank you, Karen. I don't know what possessed you guys to ask a person like me to come and speak, but you don't have a chance to recant, so I'm here now. So I'm going to say whatever I want. Before I begin, I want to kind of get a sense of the room. I mean, who here was or is an international student? Yeah, great. Okay, cool. And so how many people come from Northeast Asia, maybe China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, that side? Yeah, great, fantastic. How many people come from the subcontinent, like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka? Yeah, great, awesome, fantastic. What about the Americas, North America, South America? Great, good, that's good. Okay, great, fantastic. And what about Europe? Anyone from Europe? I think, yep, great. Oh, good to say. Yeah, you guys realize you're from Europe. Correct, great. Yeah, you guys can talk. Fantastic. And what about Africa? Anyone from Africa? Oh, wow, great, fantastic. That's really good. And Southeast Asia, which is kind of where I'm from. Anyone from Singapore? Malaysia? Okay, and this one's the last one. Anyone from Brunei? No, yes, no, you're not from Brunei, man. I don't. I shouldn't play that game too often because I'm from Brunei and like nobody raises their hand, so that's okay, that's fine. Cool. So today we're going to talk about the future of work. Like I said, my name is Ivan Lim. I'm the co-founder of Brosa and also Greywing, which is another business that we do. And the things that we want to kind of cover today, I want to kind of take you through a little bit of the journey of how I've kind of come to where I am today. I also want to kind of explore a little bit about what does the future look like. And I think most importantly, what a lot of you guys will be wondering is, how do I be successful? How do I make that work for me in that world? So you're probably wondering who the heck is this guy anyway. So you've heard a little bit about me, but to give you a bit of an idea, so the two businesses that I founded are Brosa and Greywing. Brosa, we are an e-commerce retailer that works with the best makers around the world to bring designer furniture direct to customers. We're equal parts a furniture business as we are a technology business, as we are a logistics business. And we work with makers from Australia through to China, India, Vietnam, Europe. And the whole idea is to bring customers beautiful furniture so they can make a beautiful home. And the other business that we started probably about a year, maybe 9 months ago, is Greywing. And that is a premium retailer of luxury mattresses that actually compress into the size of a box that's the size of a golf bag. And that gets delivered anywhere across Australia. And you can actually bring it out and you have a premium mattress expanding in your room in about 30 minutes. Great things are built with great people. So that's myself, that's David, and that's Richard, who are my co-founders. And we now lead a team of about 30 people. We're based out of Collingwood, and it's a really rewarding experience. We actually went through the Melbourne Accelerator Program, which is a program for startups here in the University of Melbourne. So I've actually spoken at this place quite often, so it's fairly familiar. And we've also raised over $2 million from Airtree Ventures. Airtree Ventures are run by Craig Blair and Daniel Petrie, who you'll see over there. They have an illustrious record of 3 funds before. They've started businesses such as eBay Australia, 9MSN, Ticketek, and we're really, really privileged to have people like that. But yeah, that's a little bit about the great people that build the great things that we do. So first of all, you're kind of wondering, well, what about the future of work? And I think the first thing that I want to say is that it's a very, very crazy world out there. Our world is changing faster today than at any other point in history. And I think, Lord Mayor Robert Doyle spoke a bit about it, Karen spoke a bit about it. But if you guys don't know already, the world is changing faster than it ever has before. To give you a bit of an idea, does anybody here know what a VHS is? Oh, great, fantastic, thank God. I'm not the only one, right? Okay, does anybody remember what an iPod is? Yeah, great, you guys still remember an iPod. Nobody has an iPod anymore, right? If you look at the rates of adoption of technology over the last, 110 years, you'll see that, things such as electricity and television took between 3 to 4 decades to reach adoption rates of maybe 90 to 100% in America alone. But as time has gone on, you're beginning to see things such as smartphones, social media, the tablet are reaching adoption rates of up to 90% in less than a decade. Things are moving much faster and disrupting a lot faster, and people are being more open to change, so things are happening a lot quicker. If you guys want to get a sense for the different sort of media consumption companies that are coming out, you'll see here that back in 1975, there was the VCR, which is the VHS sort of thing. And as time has gone on over the concurrent decades, more and more innovation has happened. I mean, Netflix started. You started having Instagram. You had, I don't know, some of the things I don't even know what it is. 8th gen game console. There's Chromecast. There's a huge variety of disruption that's happening faster than ever before. You used to be able to kind of settle on one thing and be able to go, you know what, this is going to last me for 10 years. It doesn't last you for 10 years. It lasts you for 6 months, and then Apple tells you to buy something completely new. This is the world that we live in. So global public internet companies ranked by market cap, so how big that they are. On the left-hand side, you'll see, as of December 1995, these are the 15 biggest, most valuable companies in America, right? And then you look at the far right, and that is as of May 2015. And what you're going to realize is that there's only one company that's still there. That's Apple. Yes, the guys who make you buy a new thing every 6 months. But they're the only ones that are there. Everybody else has dropped off. The Canadians have dropped off. The Germans have dropped off. Everybody else has dropped off. But not only that, nearly every single company on the right-hand side did not even exist in 1995. That is how crazy innovation is moving. Google was founded in 1998, Alibaba in 1999, Facebook in 2004, Twitter in 2006. These companies weren't even around when that first graph was made. And what's even more perplexing is the market cap is huge. Look at the difference in the numbers. The size of these businesses are huge. People kind of say, oh, you know, maybe Ivan, they were kind of waiting around to kind of emerge after in that 20-year period. These companies have emerged, not only emerged, but completely destroyed the market cap of all these other companies. The level of innovation, the speed that things are changing, and the adoption rates of the world for new technology is happening faster than ever before. Non-routine cognitive jobs versus all other jobs. So to make it simpler for you, non-routine cognitive jobs are basically smart jobs, things that you don't do the same thing all the time. We're moving away from a world where the economy is powered by manufacturing, doing the same thing all the time, because as you can see, it's stagnating. But jobs that are all about being smart, challenging yourself, changing your routine are growing exponentially. The world that we're living in is completely different. It's most likely that what you do today and the world that you think that you know today is going to be completely different by the time you get married, depending on when you get married. By the time you buy your first house, by the time you have grandkids, the world will be completely different. Which is why I want to say, if all of you guys who know Jon Snow, you know nothing. Jon Snow, and that's the truth. A lot of us think that we really want to kind of understand the world, and we spend a lot of time trying to conceptualize and go, this is my plan. But the truth is that you know nothing. And that moment you realize you know nothing, I know nothing. Yes, I'm Jon Snow, and that's the reality. That's the world that we live in. I think we have to realize that the current state of affairs in this world is that things change so fast. There's no way we're going to be able to grasp everything, and there's no way you're going to have that level of certainty that you thought you had. So my next point is you need to stop obsessing about making plans. There is just no way that you can make plans to adjust to this world. Mike Tyson, he's always a good source of quotes. Everybody has a plan until they get hit. Mike Tyson's a professional boxer, and I think when he first started, I don't think he expected that he would be on The Hangover as a movie star. But that's the world that you live in. Everyone makes plans until you actually realize and you get in the ring and you get hit and you realize, plans don't matter anymore. I'll tell you a bit of a story. Does anybody know who this guy is? Oh, great. Okay, wow. Geez. Okay, people watch completely different TV shows now. Okay, great. So Mad Men isn't that old, but Mad Men is about these guys in New York who basically used to live the high life doing all the big advertising campaigns for Marlboro and all these great businesses. To tell you a bit of a personal story of mine, I graduated from the University of Melbourne, and I came out with a media communications degree. And I thought to myself, Ivan, you know what? You're going to be a gun PR guy. You're going to work in advertising. You're going to be great. You're going to be this guy, right? And I remember I interned at a lot of different sort of PR agencies, and they were like, Ivan, we freaking love you. We would love for you to stay. But what happened was the GFC happened. The financial crisis happened. There weren't enough jobs. There weren't enough clients. they couldn't hire me. And I ended up kind of thinking, well, what am I going to do? I'm supposed to be Donald Draper. I'm supposed to be this boss guy who wears a suit all day and just looks boss, right? And then drink whiskey. I think that's his whiskey. But what actually ended up happening was I ended up working in telemarketing. And yeah, I know some of you guys are like, yeah, we always look that happy when we do telemarketing. Everyone really truly is that happy. I was that happy. I remember I was so depressed. It was my 21st birthday, and I was talking to my dad, and I said, Dad, why did I study at Melbourne University, a media communications degree, to call people and sell them printer cartridges and laptops and things that I knew nothing about, anything to get the sale? And I remember a good friend of mine, Vivian, who's here today, she and her husband actually used to talk to me a lot after we would catch up, and they would say, Ivan, it's okay. You know, the most important thing right now is that you just need to learn. You just need to be able to adapt. You need to pick up great skills. And the truth is that was probably one of the best things that I ever did in my life, because it taught me about business, it taught me about hard work, but it also taught me that there's no use making plans because you never know what happens. I ended up staying in that job for about a year, and for some strange reason, I managed to hit every single sales target. And they decided that, you know what, Ivan, we want to promote you, we want to keep you in the business. And I said, I really want to learn about online marketing. I really want to kind of teach myself about online marketing, how to get people to kind of come to a website and to kind of do things. So I ended up studying. And that's the thing, you know, when there are no plans, when you can't set in stone and say, you know, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, you learn to become adaptable. You learn to become, you know, passionate about trying to learn new things, and there's plenty of resources out there to be able to learn new things. So I started teaching myself all about online marketing, and after about a year, I realized I don't really have a plan, but I have a sense of a direction. I have a sense of where I want to be, and I found an opportunity that matched my direction. So some of you may know this guy. This guy is Wai Hong. Wai Hong is an old Trinity College friend of mine, and he was actually running a business that was selling telescopes and binoculars and gadgets online. And because I'd self-taught myself online marketing, he said to me one day, hey, Ivan, you know, you're kind of figuring things out. Why don't you come and join us? I said to myself, well, okay, cool. You know, let's see what happens. We were 3 people at the time. I came in and I decided to kind of head up marketing. And over 2 years, we ended up building a network of about, how many websites is that? It's about 12 websites. We were ranked as one of Australia's 100 fastest growing startups. And we went from 3 people to 16 people. And this is what happens when you don't make plans. I didn't decide that I was going to become an online marketer when I graduated. I thought I was going to be Don Draper. But in the end, I ended up selling telescopes and binoculars and Swiss Army knives and bubble wrap. Man, I sold a lot of different things back then. But this is the world that we live in. There's no point obsessing over plans. Plans feel great because they create a sense of control. And I think that's something that we all have to kind of grapple with, because, you know, when you've got a plan, and maybe for the more OCD people, I'm not that OCD, when you have that plan, you're kind of like, you know what, that's really, really good. I feel great because I've got this plan. I know what's going to happen. But again, like I said, you know nothing, Jon Snow. There's just nothing that you can plan for, because this world that we live in changes so quickly. The plan that you put together today won't apply in about 6 months' time, all right? What you need to do, and this is my perspective on life and work, is that you need to optimize your life for growth and not for security. If you constantly think about your life as not a place where you arrive at a certain point, but you're always constantly growing, you're going to be a lot better off in this changing world. Because the truth is that somehow, as young people or as humans, we always think to ourselves, you know, one day I'm going to arrive. One day I'm going to be that guy who drives up in a Ferrari or a Merc. I'm going to be that guy who's got a happy family, or a girl who's got this really successful career, and I get to wear nice clothes or have a happy family. We always think that there's a point in life when we're going to arrive. That point never, ever comes. It never comes. There's never a point where you go, I've arrived, that's it. You're constantly growing. You're constantly moving. And the only way to be able to embrace that is that you have to realize, optimize your life for growth, not for security. Anyone seen Fight Club? Oh man, I'm bringing up all the wrong references, but okay, yeah, some people know Fight Club. So for those of you who don't know Fight Club is this really interesting show that kind of has a lot of social commentary, but it's about these guys who end up beating each other up, pretty much, really. But there's a great quote in Fight Club, and I think this is really important. It says, the things you own end up owning you. And I want to bring this up because I think it's really important, especially as young people and especially as you think about work, is that you have to really think about money. You have to think about possessions. And my perspective is that an over-reliance on money and possessions forces you to make plans that maintain security, and they don't encourage growth or reinvention. So, you know, as you guys are at this interesting stage in your life where you're beginning to pick and choose the things that you work on, don't ever get yourself in a position where you're like, no, you know what, I have to maintain a certain lifestyle. I have to, of course, everyone needs a certain, like there's certain things that you can enjoy. I'm not saying be a sadist and like live on the streets, but what I'm saying is that never ever put yourself in a position where you're not going to be able to grow, where you're not going to be able to push yourself to say, you know what, I can't make sacrifices anymore because I'm so used to having 5 cups of coffee every day and I have to drive in a certain car and I cannot go to a food court. You cannot be that guy because there is no way you will survive in this new world. There is absolutely no way, because one day you will wake up and the world would have changed and you would have been left behind. Henry Ford puts it a really good way. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. And I think that's some really appropriate advice. To succeed in the future of work, you must never, ever, ever stop learning. Madonna is a great example of that. I actually didn't know some of her looks, but Madonna is the queen of reinvention. Now, I don't listen to her music, but I admire the fact that this woman has somehow been a new thing in almost every decade. And she is a great example of somebody who said, you know what, I'm not going to be set in my ways. I'm not going to be just this person. This world changes, and I'm going to change with it. I'm going to be able to adapt to it, because there is no longer a world where you can be one thing for 60 years or 70 years of your life. That just doesn't happen. I think another thing that's really important is that work is no longer just work. It is also about meaning. I think Karen kind of alluded to it. You know, we're kind of this slash generation where we're a bit of this, we're a bit of that, we're a bit of this, because we're all searching for kind of a bit of meaning. And you know, for a lot of you, some of you are sitting here right now, especially if you're a final year student, you're like, I don't care about anything. All I want to do is get a job. I know that was me. I was like, I just need a job, right? You're like, I saw you posting online. I know what you want. I can tell you I don't have experience, but I have a very particular set of skills that I've acquired over a very long education. All you care about is getting that one job, right? But the truth is, our generation, and yes, I know I talk about TV shows you all don't watch, but we're part of the same generation, is that you don't actually just want a job. You want more than just a salary. So most important things that millennials have said. So the blue bar is what managers, the percentage of managers who thought that was important to millennials, and the green bar is what millennials actually thought was important. Managers thought that meaningfulness work wasn't that important, but for millennials, it's clearly important. Managers thought that high pay was super important for millennials, but millennials actually went, that's actually not that important. Managers thought that sense of accomplishment wasn't that important, but for millennials, that was really important. This is the world that we live in. You know, even though you're at this point in stage in your time where you're like, I just want to make money, I just want to kind of grow, I want to get whatever job that I want, you need to recognize the fact that you live in a generation that thinks about meaning a whole lot more than any other generation. Right? And that's got to affect your choices. You know, millennials say that personal values are the greatest influence on decision making, right? 44% turned down a job offer because of an organization's value. You know, 56% ruled out ever working for a particular organization because of its values. We're a very value-driven organization. You need to be able to factor that into your choices. Which 3 benefits would you most value from an employer? And they ask people want training and development. People want flexible working hours. Right? We're not a generation anymore that's just about, I'm just going to do a job and I don't care, I'm just going to take a paycheck and I'm going to leave. Things are changing very, very quickly, and you need to recognize that that's you. 62% of millennials in the US are more likely to search out work that has a positive impact on the world. To find meaning, millennials are building their own futures. And I think that's a really interesting thing. You know, I want to challenge a few of you. I think some of you in the room may be thinking, you know what, I'm going to end up working for a big 4. I'm going to end up working for a big corporate. I'm going to, go work for an established company. I'd encourage you to actually reconsider, because deep down inside, as you think about it, as time goes on, maybe you're going to work there for a year or 2 years, you're going to ask yourself, what is the meaning of all this? Why am I doing this? And what we're seeing in this world right now is that people are engaging in those conversations a lot earlier, and because of that, they're choosing to build their own futures. And what I think is that the future belongs to the builders. If you're not a builder in this world, there is no future for you. Building your future has never been easier. People are building their own future via freelancing. Freelancing is basically a concept where you kind of do work and you're flexible, you kind of contract out to different people. You don't necessarily have to have a fixed specific job. 34% of the American workforce is freelance. Right? That's 53 million freelancers. Freelancers contribute $715 billion to the American economy. In Australia, they contribute $51 billion, and about 32% of the Australian workforce is freelancers. People are deciding They don't have to go work for somebody else. They decide that they can go work for themselves. By 2020, it's estimated that up to 50% of the American population is going to be freelancers. There's now more choice than ever before online for you to start your own thing. There's product commerce. You can go sell on Alibaba, Amazon, eBay, Etsy. But if you want to do service commerce, you could go and open up your home, Airbnb. You could go be a driver. That's Uber's old logo, but yes, you can be a driver. You can go, if you guys haven't heard of Upwork, Upwork is an online marketplace that allows you to almost sell any service that you want. You could be somebody's PA, you could be somebody's appointment setter, you could help somebody with Excel, you could do financial modeling for somebody, you could draw cartoons for somebody. In fact, some people like people kind of giving voiceovers for their telephone system. You could do almost anything online, but the reason why people are doing that is because work is no longer about working for somebody else, being told what you're supposed to do. It's about doing what you want to do and what you find meaningful. How popular are startups? If you look at Google search trends, people are not only going, hey, I'm just going to work for myself as a freelancer. People are like, I want to start organizations. I want to start enterprises. This is Google Trends data. So this is how many times the word startups has been searched on Google. From 2005 to 2015, that's exponential. If you want something to compare to, search volume versus interview techniques. Nobody's that interested in searching for interview techniques anymore. Everybody is interested in startups. Everyone's interested in building their own thing. Your number one question should not be, how do I get employed? Your number one question should be, how do I build something? That is the future of work. In 2014, a study by the Kauffman Foundation found that the average cost of starting a new business from scratch was $30,000. Anyone want to guess how much it costs to start Brosa? Yeah. Okay, I forgot it's an international student conference. Feel free to, say something. It's totally okay. There's no right or wrong answer. Really, there isn't. Anybody want to hazard a guess? Yep. 100,000? Great. Okay, cool. Lower? 20,000. Lower? 5,000. Lower? 1,000. Okay, yes. It's always somebody's going to lowball me. Okay, it's not $1,000. It's $3,000. We started Brosa on $3,000. We now turn over an 8-figure turnover per year. That's how easy it is to start a business, and that's how low the barriers of entry are. Businesses like Threadless.com started on $1,000. Hewlett-Packard started on $538. American Apparel started on $10,000. You can start your own thing because you want something meaningful, and the barriers of entry are low. Knowledge on how to start is everywhere. There's obviously great books such as The Lean Startup, written by Eric Ries, which basically started a revolution, a movement almost, of people who are genuinely looking to build businesses that bring something good, that's actually meeting a need. Startup Victoria, which is a great meetup group here in Melbourne, and they meet in Richmond. They've got over 300, 400 members. They run a conference every year, which is great. The Melbourne Accelerator Program, which obviously run here in Melbourne, and University of Melbourne is there. And then Steve Blank, who's there on the left-hand side. He's a serial entrepreneur. We actually went to his ranch in California, and he's got a great blog post. If you guys want to get that resource, I can send it to you guys. But he's basically listed out almost any resource that you would need to figure out how to start a business. That's how easy it is. Look, the truth is that we aren't all called to be business owners, and you're like, Ivan, you know what? I don't really want to start a business. I'm passionate about other things. And I totally get that. You may be passionate about family, you may be passionate about social justice, you may be passionate about art, you may be passionate about teaching. But what I'm calling you guys to do is, you can all be builders. You don't just have to be consumers. And I think that's really important when you come to the future of work. When you think about your career and you think about your future direction, don't keep thinking that I just want to consume everything. Be valuable. Do something. Build something. Because it's never been easier. Entrepreneurship is neither a science nor an art. It is a practice. And I truly believe in that. I think, as time goes on, you're going to realize life isn't super long. Life is a bit short. But life has a significant amount of time for you to do many things. And the sooner that we get into the practice of thinking about our life as entrepreneurs and practicing development and growth, the better your prospects will be in the future. I think one of the final things I want to say is be ambitious. The size of opportunities available to you are probably at least 5 times bigger than what you think that they are. Everyone thinks this is the internet. Everyone thinks about internet companies, just like, man, yes, I think about Facebook, I think about Snapchat, I think about Tinder. Some of you guys who think about Tinder. There's Twitter, there's 9gag, there's Uber. But you know what? This is just one really small part of the internet. This shows you the level of penetration that internet has made on different sectors. Look at consumer. Everyone who's on the internet is probably searching for consumer things, right? But for business, it's probably about 3/4 of the way. But look further down. Internet technology has not penetrated education, healthcare, government regulation, policy thinking. If you guys are beginning to see where I'm coming from, what I'm saying is that we live in a world where things are changing so fast. You have an opportunity to make change. You actually want, whether you know it or not, actually want to build something. And man, there is so much that can be built. I'm not just talking about building businesses. I'm talking about making great change, building good things, making this world better. That is super, super important about the future of work. It's happening all over the world as well. Some of you guys are like, man, but I really want to stay in Melbourne. All my friends are in Melbourne. And Lord Mayor Robert Doe will probably castrate me for saying this, but you know what? You don't have to stay in Melbourne. You can actually go all over the world. I mean, look at the difference, right? Like the percent of global GDP that's being contributed by America and by Europe is falling drastically. And where is all the other growth coming from? It's coming from so many other countries. I'm not saying you have to go, but what I'm saying is that going is not the end of the world. It's probably just the very beginning. Don't be afraid to take risks and take them often. About 3 years ago, by that time I kind of built all this out with Wai Hong. I kind of started my own business. I thought to myself, I'm pretty established. Like I'm pretty good. Why would I need to kind of reinvent myself all over again? Ned Dwyer and PJ Murray, who are at the top there, they started a business called Tweaky.com. Tweaky.com was a marketplace to help you customize your website. So the problem is that if you own a website and you want to be able to customize it, you either one, go online and try and find somebody from another country who you have no idea is good, and you have 100 of those people telling you, I can do everything, I can build you a skyscraper. Or you can go to your local Melbourne agency guy and they'll charge you $200 just to do it. So Tweaky was a curated marketplace where we had developers all around the world who we curated and we managed the projects for you. And basically you paid for it one tweak at a time, and every tweak was $39. Ned and PJ approached me and said, I know you're doing all these things, but we're growing something exciting here, and I think it's going to be great. And you know what? I said to myself, I realized that I was getting comfortable. I was getting too secure. And I realized that I needed to kind of change things, and I needed to take a risk. And I joined them as a founder's apprentice. But for me, it was all about learning. It was all about working next to Ned, who I knew for quite a while, and I really respected him. And we basically took that business to profitability in about 8 months. And in the beginning of last year, that business sold to GoDaddy.com, which had recently listed on the New York Stock Exchange. But that's what happens when you take risks. That's what happens when you decide to grow. You don't get comfortable. You make difficult decisions. And finally, my last point is that play the long game. We live in a world where everybody's like, go, 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 now, now, now. I want it now. If I'm not driving this car by the time I'm 25, I'm a failure. If I'm not doing this by the time I'm 35, if I don't have this picture on a yacht or like some really exotic European holiday destination, then I'm just not winning in life. But the truth is that life is long. Play it well. Don't make bad decisions because you think you need instant gratification. Think about what's important. Too late to start. You guys won't be able to see this, but some of the most prominent, iconic businesses that you guys know were started by founders that started well into their 30s, well into their 40s. We're talking about Lenovo, we're talking about Virgin, we're talking about Hewlett-Packard, we're talking about a huge range of companies. You don't have to be where you think you're supposed to be at a certain age. Make the right decisions over the long term because you have time. Things are only going to speed up increasingly as we go along, and you're going to have more and more opportunity. Pick the right opportunities. Do or do not, there is no try. That's Master Yoda, and he is a personal inspiration. And obviously that's green because he's green, which is a great quote, and hopefully you guys will do that. I think, I really want to encourage you guys, after this talk, I've said quite a few things, and there's a variety of stuff. In the future of work, it can't be encapsulated into 30 or 45 minutes. We can go have a coffee, and I'll talk your ear off about this. But the most important thing is that from here, as you guys move forward, you guys need to make a decision. Are you guys just going to sit here and decide that I'm going to follow the status quo, or are you guys actually going to do something a bit different? Because the stats are compelling. I'm not lying, the stats are compelling. The best way to predict the future is to create it. The future is bright, so I encourage you, be ambitious and be great, because you've got everything that you need. So my name is Ivan Lim, and hopefully my last, and we're hiring. So if you guys need a job, come and talk to me. Thank you.